Or do you want to ask him serious questions and try to get serious answers from serious people? That doesn't come together in mere minutes, and this interview looks like it came together in mere minutes. I'm incredibly disappointed that Steve Ballmer didn't go on Pablo's show, or our show for that matter, Coca, or Amin El Hassan's show, choosing to go on ESPN and not subjecting himself to anything other than, hey, this doesn't really look good for fans. Can you understand that? Steve Ballmer started the entire interview by making sure that we know that they abide by rules because it's the right thing to do. That's his opening salvo. Can you imagine being the interviewer and having Steve Ballmer say that and not saying immediately, and I mean immediately, I'm sorry, what happened in 2015 with DeAndre Jordan when you were fined $250,000 for salary cap circumvention? Crickets. Tweet, 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 tweet. Nothing. Steve Ballmer just said, we abide by rules. Then the interviewer said, tell me about this statement where you said things are provably false. Statement 1 didn't mention, they forgot about that in statement 2. So what Stevie said is, statement 1, provably false. Are you kidding me? We've had to turn over emails and texts and all sorts of documents to the Department of Justice and the SEC who investigated aspiration for fraud. It is true. That's what you got to do. You got to turn over everything in discovery when you're subpoenaed to do so, and you may get an order in advance. Save everything as it relates to blank. I've gotten one of those. It's good. It's easy. You just save everything. Not hard, because guess what? When you don't save something, that can be found out. So Steve wanted to make sure it was very clear. Here's what's provable. We handed over every document known to mankind that we had on this issue. And one of those emails, one of those documents was us introducing Kawhi to aspiration. I've got the email to prove it. That doesn't have anything to do with salary cap circumvention. But let's not quibble. Let's not make sure this is a nail-biting, hard-hitting interview with glasses on the bridge of your nose and your name is Brian Gumbel with no air conditioning on in a stadium suite. Let's not even go there. Let's just go moderate, like a little bit of pushback. Ballmer didn't stop there. Ballmer wanted everyone to know that in August of 21, Kawhi Leonard signed a 4-year deal, and it was the most we could pay him. That's the point of salary cap circumvention. That would have been a fun follow-up. A month later, the aspiration deal gets done. They become a huge sponsor. But then Steve Ballmer said they didn't know Kawhi. We had to introduce them because aspiration called and said, hey, do you know Kawhi Leonard? We'd love to meet him. We have the best idea ever. We want to see if he would endorse our company. Steve Ballmer claims in his interview with ESPN, that was it. We fomented an introduction and we never heard another word. We never said another word. Wouldn't it have been amazing to follow up and say, I'm sorry, one quick second. You're saying you have no idea what the deal is and you have no idea whether there's a deal or whether or not the deal is a bigger deal than normal? We're telling you it's $28 million. Does that sound normal? Oh, yeah. She asked, why would aspiration give him so much money? And his answer was, hey, I have no idea how much money. It's right there. We've got the contract. $28 million over 4 years. He said, I knew nothing. I was conned. I was scammed. If you're going to meet the media and you're going to try to figure out the best way to see if you can have the least punishment and have complete severability from the issue, you're going to want to take more than 48 hours, even though you're sitting with all softballs. You're going to want to make sure you've got your ducks quacking in a row, because if not, you're subject to me, and Pablo hasn't even gotten to it yet. You're subject to me immediately going through point by point and saying, that doesn't quite make sense. Kawhi, when approached by aspiration, after you had introduced them, Aspiration never asked you anything about Kawhi and whether he'd be a good pitch person. Kawhi, who you said you sit with multiple times a year, never said to you, hey, tell me about this Aspiration company. Are they good for 28 million bucks? Those conversations never took place. That is not even remotely possible. The only way a conversation wouldn't take place is if there didn't need to be a conversation because Kawhi was getting the money either way. What do you think? Kawhi and Uncle Dennis were born on a turnip truck yesterday? Kawhi Leonard's representative, Uncle Dennis, had gone to teams. That was the whole purpose of the change of the rule in the CBA and the Board of Governors meeting where everyone was told, hey, you cannot do things outside of salary. And Uncle Dennis would go to teams and say, hey, I want an endorsement deal. I want a piece of the team. The NBA is going to find all this when it investigates because they investigated the same thing a few years ago, but they're going to find more. And what they're going to find wasn't addressed in the interview. How do you explain the timing of you giving $50 million and then Kawhi getting 28? Answer, we got scammed. Question, you're a smart guy. Sounds a lot like Pablo's show. Answer, yeah, terrible. Got scammed. But remember, and this is what Steve was told by lawyers and by his PR people and maybe even by the NBA. Make sure you keep answering the question the same way with the same statement. We got scammed. We had no idea about this deal. I think they should have stopped at the first one. Just say we got scammed. Because the credibility of a guy getting scammed out of $50 million, yeah, it happens, even to smart people. The probability of Kawhi and Steve Ballmer never discussing a deal where Steve Ballmer is a principal investor and he said, oh, I only own 3% of the company. Quick math, Coca. Do you know what 3% of $2.3 billion is, which was the value after the fraudulent SPAC deal? Any quick idea? Just do some quick math. Do you want me to do it for you? You can do it. Just do it in your head. 10% of 2.3 billion is 230 million. 5% is 115 million. We're good. All right, whatever, Coca. All right, let me get back very quickly. Two more things when you watch this interview. The Boston Sports Journal reported, and I love the fact that mainstream media is on this like white on rice. The Boston Sports Journal said it should be known that not only did Kawhi Leonard get $28 million in cash, he also got $20 million in stock of aspiration. Now, people are going to do the math and say $28 million in cash plus $20 million in stock equals $48 million. That's even closer to the $50 million that Steve Ballmer put in. But let me stop you there. When you get stock it's like you get options. You don't actually get shares of stock when you are granted this as an endorser, sometimes even as an employee. There are stock option plans. So you get options to purchase shares at certain numbers that are very, very low. And then you hope the shares go up. And there are different ways, whether you exercise the options within a year or after a year. There's all sorts of technical stuff. But all you need to know is this. When you pin a value up front of what the stock is, that's not how it works. Because the value of a company like Aspiration, if it's a public company, super easy. A public company, you look at the share price right there in the newspaper. Wow, that looks like it's $30 a share. Well, we are giving you 2 shares that vest today. Well, thank you. I just got $60. That is the correct math. When you get shares to a startup company like the janitors at Meta, you have no idea if you're getting 0 or if you're getting $10 million.